everyone, Katie here from Lady Red Crafting. Today we're going to show you 4 brand new Christmas crafts you're going to love. From quick and easy to totally charming, these projects will add a festive touch to your home this Christmas season. So let's jump right into our first project. This is a great decoupage craft night ornament that you can do with your friends or on your own. Let's start out with this adorable little gnome napkin. Now you can use whatever napkin you'd like. I just really liked how this gnome looked. Then I grabbed some of these cute little canvases from the Dollar Tree in the Crafter Square section. To start out, let's prep our napkin. To do this, we're going to open up our napkin and we're going to remove the back 2 layers of this napkin. Now for this ornament, we're only going to need one of these little gnomes, so we're just going to cut 1 quadrant of the napkin out. Now let's go ahead and set our little gnome aside, and I grabbed a small piece of felt. Now let's take our canvas, and I'm going to put that canvas on top of the felt, and we're going to trace the canvas onto the felt. Then we're going to cut out that piece of felt. Next, I found a piece of ribbon that matches the napkin, and this is just a red ribbon with a white stripe in it, and I'm just going to use this as a hanger. And what I want to do here is I really want to give this a polished look. So I'm going to flip over my canvas and I'm going to start out by adding the ribbon first as a hanger for our ornament. And to do this, I'm going to add a little bit of Titebond quick and thick glue. I'm going to fold our ribbon and I'm going to put it right on top of each other, kind of like an awareness bow. And I'm just going to lay that there. And then to make sure everything stays into place, I'm going to take my staple gun and add a staple or 2 just to make sure this is going to stay where it's at and hang very nice. Now, once that's done, I'm going to take that piece of felt and we're going to cover the hanger and the back of this little canvas. And to secure the felt, I'm just going to be using my Titebond quick and thick glue. You could probably use hot glue for this as well if you'd like. Now, once our backing is complete, we're going to flip this over, and I grab my Mod Podge in matte. Next, I'm going to go ahead and paint my Mod Podge over the entire canvas. Now, while the Mod Podge is still wet, I'm going to grab that gnome napkin, and we're going to lay that over the top of our canvas very lightly. Next, I'm going to grab some cling wrap. And I'm going to take a layer of that cling wrap and I'm going to layer that on top of the napkin. And using my little roller here, I'm going to roll my piece into place. Now this is going to take out any of the wrinkles so it'll look really nice and polished on our piece. Then we're going to immediately remove that cling wrap and let everything dry. Now to seal our piece in, I'm going to take that same Mod Podge we used earlier, and we're going to go ahead and just paint a nice thin coat over the top of our piece. Now if you go in different directions like I am here, it'll make it look like you have some brush strokes into your ornament and makes it look like you hand painted this little gnome onto your canvas. Now, once your piece has dried, I come back in with my little zip sander. A sandy block would also work fine. And I'm just going to sand around the perimeter of our ornament. And this is going to remove all of that excess napkin and give us a nice smooth look. And since this napkin was more of an off-white in color, I did grab my plaster color paint and I did a little bit of paint around the perimeter of my piece, just so that the canvas on the outside blended in better with my napkin. And now for our final touch, I'm going to add a small little red bow to the top of our ornament. And now our beautiful little decoupage piece is complete. I just love how this gnome turns out. And I would love to hear from you. What do you think of this little gnome? Let me know in the comments below. So here's a quick and easy ornament that you can make for those dog lovers in your life. So we're going to start out with these little wood bone cutouts, and I got these on Amazon, and I'll leave a link for them in my description box below. But I'm just taping these down onto a paintable surface, and I'm going to take my nutmeg brown from Apple Barrel, and we're going to go ahead and just paint both sides of these little wood cutouts. To get the color brown that I wanted, I did have to do 3 coats of paint on either side, just because I wanted that nice, rich gingerbread look. Now, while our paint is drying, I'm going to go over to my Cricut, and I'm going to cut out the name of my 2 dogs, Luna and Mocha. Now, if you don't have a Cricut, you can do this with stickers, or if you have good handwriting, a paint pen would work just fine as well. Now, all I'm going to do is take that little cutout, and I'm going to add that to the center of my bone. Now, while we have a few minutes, I want to tell you all about this playlist I'm a part of, Merry Inspiration. I host this playlist every month with Loli D Creations. Our guest host this month is Sparks of Joy Studios. This playlist is all about Christmas and how to get inspired to decorate for the season. The playlist link is down in my description box below, so please go check them out and give them some love. Thank you, and now back to our video. So now that we have both of our little dog names on our bones, I am going to take these little bales that I got on Amazon, and I'm going to flip these little dog bones over, and these kind of look like they're hanging from a tag, and I really like the way that these bales look on the back of these little bones. To attach them, I'm using E6000, and we're just going to set the bale right on top. And these are typically used for jewelry making, but I love using these for ornaments. Now, once you have these bales added to the back of these little bones and they've dried, it usually takes about a half an hour or so. We'll go ahead and flip them back over, and now let's decorate them to make them look like little gingerbread bones. And to decorate them, I am going to be using puffy paint for this, but if you don't have puffy paint, a paint pen would work just fine. Or if you have a steady hand, you could just use paint with a paintbrush and get that frosted snow look onto your gingerbread. Now, that puffy paint did take overnight to dry, but once everything was dried, I did take this ribbon that I had in my stash, and I'm going to go ahead and just make some nice little hangers for our bones. And now our adorable little ornaments are ready to hang or to gift. I just love how these turned out. I think these are so adorable and such a fun little ornament to make. And these are kid-friendly and senior-friendly alike. Let me know what you think about these ornaments down in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this content, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you. For this craft, let's take some wood letters that I got at Walmart, and I am spelling out the word joy. And for this, we're going to start out by just taking these letters and putting them onto a paintable surface. And a trick that I like to use is using some painter's tape, and I add that to the back sides of these letters, and I tape this down to my piece of cardboard. This makes it so much easier for me to get around the edges of these letters, so that way I have a nice coat of paint all over the top and the sides without making a huge mess on my surface or my hands. Now, once we have everything prepped, I am going to go ahead and grab my multi-surface green paint here from Folk Art, and we're just going to go ahead and paint the fronts and the sides of our letters. And you can see while having this taped down onto this piece of cardboard, I can easily lift the cardboard so I can get around the sides of those letters really easily without making too big of a mess. Now, after our first coat of paint has dried, I did come back in and paint a second coat of paint. Now, while that second coat of paint is still wet, I'm going to lift this piece of cardboard into a box, and this is just a gift box here. This way, anything that falls out won't hit the table and it'll be easier for me to clean up. And I'm using some baking soda, and we're going to flock these letters. And to do this, I'm taking the baking soda and I'm just going to spoon it into a sifter so it kind of evenly falls onto all of these letters. And once you're satisfied with your baking soda, you're just going to let this dry. And I let this dry for about 2 hours. I wanted to make sure everything was nice and set. Now go ahead and grab a big fluffy brush, and while it is still dry, you're just going to use it to remove all of that excess baking soda. And I'm just brushing it off really gently just to get that nice flocked look with these letters. Next, I'm going to remove these letters from my box, and here is what they look like, all nice and flocked. Now these are ready to be added to whatever piece you would like to add them to. And for me, I decided I wanted to do a decoupage backing, so I found this beautiful napkin at Home Goods, and I am going to prep this napkin by removing the back 2 layers. And to do this, I'm using a little piece of painter's tape to help me remove those layers. Now that I have those layers removed, this napkin is ready for me to decoupage. And I just love the look of this napkin. The vintage pink in here with the little mushrooms just gives it a wonderful warm vibe. For our next step, I'm going to prep our blank, and this is just a small piece of scrap wood that I had, and I'm using my Waverly chalk paint in the color plaster to give a nice coat of paint to this piece of wood. Now, once this paint has dried, I went ahead and grabbed my matte Mod Podge, and we're going to do a nice coat of Mod Podge over the entire piece. Now, once this has been coated with our Mod Podge, we're going to let this dry completely. Now, grab your napkin that you prepped earlier, and let's go ahead and lay this on top of our piece. And I'm just positioning the napkin the way that I would like it before we do anything else. Now, grab a piece of parchment paper and layer that right on top. Next, grab your heat press or hot iron, and we're going to iron our napkin onto the Mod Podge onto our base. This heat press will just warm up that Mod Podge and just allow that napkin to adhere nicely to everything. By using an iron, it also helps keep all of the wrinkles at bay so you have a really nice smooth backing. Now go ahead and remove that piece of parchment paper, and I'm using a little zip sander here, but a finger sander, a sanding block, a small piece of sanding paper, whatever you have will work just fine. Just make sure to sand in a downward motion, and this is going to help you remove all of that excess napkin to give a nice smooth finish around the edge. Now to seal our napkin in, I am using my Rust-Oleum matte clear enamel, and I took this outside and I sprayed this down. Once that has completely dried, I brought that back into the house, and we're going to go ahead and make our piece. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add the word joy to my piece, and I'm just going to set this on top without gluing anything down. We're going to just position everything the way that we would like to make this look nice. Once we're satisfied with the position of our letters, I'm going to do one letter at a time so there's less of a chance of me messing this up. And I'm using my Type Bond Quick and Thick glue for this, and I'm just going to add that to the back side of my letters, and then I'll place them back one by one onto our piece. And now, once we have all of our letters attached, our piece is complete. I just love how this little leaner turns out. I think the napkin gives it such great character, and the flock joy gives it a different look that you don't normally see. Get crafty with Lady Red's monthly newsletter. Tips behind the scenes and exclusive giveaways. And if you subscribe today, you'll get a checklist for your next craft party. Check out the link in the description box below. These wood ornaments are a staple at the Dollar Tree. I want to make something a little bit different that I don't think you may have seen before. So with these ornaments, I'm going to start out by putting them onto a paintable surface. And just to get started, we are going to paint both sides with green and gold paint. This is just to give us a nice background to our piece. I am going to paint the back sides of these as well because I like to have my ornaments finished on both sides. And now that we have completed the painting on both sides of these ornaments, I'm going to take this Diamond Dot adhesive glue. And what we're doing here with this adhesive is you take the adhesive and you just paint that on one side of these ornaments. Now this adhesive is very thin, so what I'm doing is I put that in a little container to use to paint this on, and I'm going to try to do a nice thick coat of this adhesive over the top of my ornaments. Now what you'll want to do is let this dry completely so that all of the white from the glue kind of looks clear, and it'll still be tacky, but it's gonna be a clear kind of sheen look to your ornament. And this does dry fairly quickly. It only took about 15 minutes. Next, I'm going to grab some of my diamond dots, and I'm using some green and some gold, and I'll add some white and some red in here in a little bit as well. And I'm just pouring my diamond dots into my little trays, and I'm going to be using my diamond dot applicator to add these to my ornaments. I'll link all of this stuff in my description box below, but if you've ever done a diamond dot painting, you can get these at the craft stores in different places. You get all of these pieces in that kit. So there's some of the things you may already have if you've kept any of those after you've done one of those paintings. And if you're new to diamond dots, these are just small little plastic diamond looking pieces that come in so many different colors. And you use this pen here, and it has like a hollow center inside, which allows you to put those diamonds onto a piece. Most of the time you're going to see these in kits where it's like a paint by number situation. But what I like about this adhesive is it allows you to take that adhesive and add it to anything that you'd like so that you can diamond dot it the way you would like to. And this is one of those relaxing crafts that you can do in the evenings when you're trying to de-stress for the day. Now, the other nice thing about these is that you can take a small piece of plastic and you can put that over the top of the adhesive and then leave this and come back to it the next day. So you don't have to finish this right away. This is something that you can do over a period of time, or you can sit down and do this in a sitting. Now, once you do get all of your diamond dots added, you can come in with this dots guard, and this is a sealer for your diamond dots. So what I like about this is it goes on really nice and thin, and it seals all of your diamond dots in, and it doesn't take away from the color. It does dry clear, and it still has that sparkle that the diamond dots have. So I'm just going to go ahead and just apply this to both of my little ornaments here. And then I'm going to let this dry for about an hour. Now here is what both sides of our ornament looks like. I just like that the back is finished as well, so that way if you do see it on your tree, it doesn't look funny. Now let's go ahead and add a small ribbon to the top of each one of these ornaments to give it a nice little hanger. Now, once we have our hanger made, I did think that I needed a little bit extra, so I added a small bow to the top of each one of these ornaments. And now our little diamond dot ornaments are ready to hang. I just love how beautiful these turned out. I think these are an adorable addition to any tree and such a fun craft you can do during the stressful holiday season to help de-stress. I hope you enjoyed these 4 merry crafts and found some inspiration to get creative this season. Be sure to check out the Merry DIY playlist linked below for even more festive ideas from some amazing creators. And if you had fun crafting with me today, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss an update. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, please remember, craft more, stress less.